Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am joined by my good friend Johnathan Taylor, JT, who is a Marine Scout Sniper leader and a Chief Scout with 5 combat deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. And now he is the president of the USMC Scout Sniper Association. Welcome, JT. Everybody put your hands together. Yay. Woo. Where's the button, Mario? Oh, you don't even know where it is, do you? No, we don't press the button. Yeah. There is one button that if you press, I'll throw a shoe at you. But anyways, welcome to the show, dude.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I've been following you for a long time, and I'm glad to be able to share my story and get the message out there.
Yeah,
Scout Sniper Association.
I guess the biggest thing before we get into your background, the biggest thing that everybody's going to want to know is recently the Marine Corps just kiboshed Scout Snipers. And they've done that with other special units in the past. They did it with the Raiders in World War II. It's like, in my opinion, I feel like they just don't have foresight. They're always looking, these guys, and I'll call them politicians of the Marine Corps, like the strategic staff of the Marine Corps, the general level. Seems like they're operating from a place of their term and their term only.
Yeah, that could be interpreted that way with this decision for sure. But honestly, they have had, where the Scout Sniper program has always been at a disadvantage is we've never had anybody advocating for us at the top.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no officers can't go to the course, can't earn the title. And
you're like a dirty bastard.
Right. So
yeah.
when you don't have an advocate at the top, especially in the officer ranks, it's really easy to just kind of get walked over. And also not being a primary MOS has always kind of been our downfall. But historically we've been like that, the glass with the axe on the wall and it's break glass in case of war.
Right. That's
kind of how the Scout Sniper program has been throughout history after every major conflict.
But we've needed them every single conflict.
Need them every time. But yeah. I don't know why they do away with it every time and then bring it back.
Now we have to start from scratch with no experience.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. The reason behind it, so what I've gathered and what people have told me is basically they came up with a new Marine Force Design 2030, they call it.
Okay. And
they've done away with artillery. They've done away with tanks. And they've done away with Scout Snipers.
Are we not fighting? Are we not going to fight any more wars? I'm really confused.
The whole purpose of this new design, this Force Design 2030, is to make the Marine Corps more of a littoral force, right? Meaning fighting in the littorals. So island hopping, back in the Pacific campaign type days. Basically gearing up for Taiwan, China, our biggest threats at this time. And they've kind of transitioned the Marine Corps to face that new theater and that new opposition. And with that, it's moving towards more of a lighter, more mobile force, almost like a commandos, like making a company of Marines almost like a company of commandos.
Well, don't you think a Scout Sniper is a pretty light force?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they did away with Scout Snipers. There's really no, there's a lot of people that have their ideas and their theories on why. But to me, what it boils down to is it's an outdated course, an outdated POI.
Is it?
Because, we're kind of still operating off Vietnam days, when it comes to our course and our POI. And, we're still averaging over a 60% attrition rate. And then nowadays, but you can get guys, you can put guys through a 3-day, you can take a civilian off the street, put them through a 3-day precision rifle course or long range course, and they can outshoot a Marine sniper out of sniper school.
No shit.
Because we're still focusing on shooting out of the prone for so many weeks, which is a waste of time. And it's just a kind of outdated POI. And I think they had every opportunity to change that and adjust that. They just didn't make the changes. And
they were attached to the history. They're attached to the way. Well, it's always been done this way. It's a big thing in the military. Well, we've always done it this way. It's always worked. Why change it?
Right, and we've been very successful, and even. And I still don't think, I'm not under the impression that it was because it was a failed program. I don't think that at all. I think the reason is they want to revamp the program, modernize it. Maybe it comes back, maybe it don't. But they've moved more to basically battalion commanders have stated that they want more of the information gathering, intel collecting, eyes on the ground than they want or need the long-range precision fire.
So what is the Marine Corps using? What is their thought process for having that long-range precision fire asset?
Well, they're basically saying that at the battalion level, it's not a huge focus for them anymore. So they did away with the Scout Sniper program. So what they did, though, is...
I mean, and maybe I'm not seeing something that they're seeing, but from a guy who's done multiple combat deployments and yourself... I mean, I was never a Scout Sniper, but in Iraq, when the Mark 11s came out, I transitioned fully to a Mark 11.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went to the M110 SAS. Mm-hmm. That was my primary weapon in combat, was the M110 SAS or the Mark 11, because it's a benefit.
Yeah.
A huge benefit.
There's no denying the benefit of having precision fires and long-range capabilities on the battlefield. There's no denying it. But what they've done is, so the Army uses in the Army infantry, they use they use a model of, they have scout platoons, and the scout platoons focus on the information gathering, intel gathering, reporting, collecting information, those kind of things. And then, so that's what the Marine Corps has now moved to, is a scout platoon model. So basically, they've taken away the name Scout Sniper, and it's just left it as Scout. But with that, they haven't taken away the TO of weapons that are still allotted to the battalion. So we still got sniper rifles. So with that, we had to create a new course. So first they had to create the scout course.
Okay.
To teach
it's basically a reconnaissance course.
Infantry guys how to do a basic reconnaissance course, basically. Yeah. It's a 5-week course.
Okay.
And then secondary to that, you now have to do a PM course, precision marshalship course, on top of that, to learn how to shoot the sniper rifles that are in the battalion. So basically, you've taken Scout Sniper School, which was 11 weeks, and now you've broke it down into 2 different components, 2 different schools that still equal up to about 11 weeks. So, it is what it is. We don't have any say, any fight in the game, but from what I've been told from the instructors that are running these new scout courses, they're kind of experimental. They're not very successful so far because, a lot of these guys that are coming from the infantry battalions, the platoons that are getting pulled to go to scout platoon, don't see the benefit in it. You can't go to sniper school anymore. You can't earn that title.
It's just a bunch of hard work for very little return.
To a certain extent, and I mean, you're getting guys also that don't really want to be there. That was the success and the great thing about a sniper platoon. Was it was 100% voluntary, and you had to try out, and you had to go through an NDOC, an ass kicker that would break you, and to see who could stay in that environment and operate in that environment, right? Yeah. And now that it's basically they're just doing an SRB audit. Hey, first class PF score, boom, boom, boom. But you're going to scout platoon. You're going to scout platoon. You're going to
obviously, my brain works in business much more now than it does the military. So I'm looking at it from like a marketing aspect and how do you actually get a good result in business, right? Well, it's not that way. It's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. Like you have to create this allure. Like that's what's great about the reconnaissance community and Marine Special Operations is because there's a title, there's a why behind it, and when you attach it to why, it motivates somebody's soul to accomplish. Like when I was in ARS, like I've made videos and talked about this. I failed one ruck run. Like every Friday they do a ruck run. I think Scout Snipers, you guys do something like that too, right?
Yeah, we do that stuff all throughout the course too. But
so and it's all graded, right? You have to movements from point A to point B at a certain time with a certain weight, etc. I failed one, and then I lost like I think you lose like a weekend privilege or something like that from going off the compound or whatnot. And I was like, that's fucking done. I'm done with that. And mentally I just said, I'm going to die or I'm going to graduate. Like that mentally, I was like, I'm going to push myself to I drop dead or I'm going to graduate. That's it.
Well,
That's
ARS back then was no joke.
Yeah.
ARS was no joke.
It was no joke. Even more so, RIP back then was no joke.
We had
very little oversight.
We had tons of our Scout Sniper platoons back in those days. 04 to 07 were made up of RIP drops and ARS drops.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, you're going back to the infantry battalion. They come straight to state platoon, straight to sniper platoon.
So, but the thing is when you create that level of hardship, when you create that level of allure, people go, damn, I want to achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, it sounds like there's not a whole lot they get to go through and then achieve. Even Marine Corps recruit training. You go through all this recruit training, you go through the crucible, and what happens? You get your EGA. You achieve something.
Right.
And from a branding, marketing aspect, right, creating that kind of level of achievement, it's not there. So where's the incentive?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about the Scout Sniper platoons and the battalions is it gives those 1%er Marines that are in the infantry battalions that maybe couldn't go to Recon for whatever reason or didn't have the opportunity to have something to strive for, to be a little better.
Yeah.
Right. To do a little more.
Just one level up.
One level up.
Right.
And, you can be a squad leader, you can be a team leader, which is great, but the thing about the allure about the sniper platoons is that the majority of the guys that make up that platoon are just a little bit above.
Yeah.
Above
and you know it because you're like, well, they went through these trial and tribulations to achieve that.
Right.
So they're just this much better.
Right. They're just above average, you know what I mean? And with that, just like with Recon, just like with MARSOC, when you're around a different caliber of Marines, a higher caliber of guys that are more driven, it just pushes everyone around you to be more driven.
Right.
And to rise to the occasion. And then, and that was one good thing about the ARS drops. I used to tell you about ARS drops and the RIP drops. Those guys would come over highly motivated and would push.
Even harder, probably.
Push the guys in our platoon, One.
That's what failure does for you.
Yeah, one guy off the top of my head, Chris Booker, came from ARS. He had like a, day before graduation at ARS, he got dropped.
Ouch.
For like getting in a fight out in town or some bullshit, right? And he came to our battalion and was just a freaking stud. I mean,
awesome.
Stud, dude. He was in our platoon.
Plus, he had all that experience.
Oh, man, he went all the way through ARS.
Yeah.
But he was just a stud, man. He was just a natural 300 PF tier, weighed 220 pounds, built like a brick shit house, and just came over, was like super Christian, super conservative, father, husband.
And just led.
And just was a leader from day one. And it pushed all of us in our platoon to be on his level or get left behind, right? Mm-hmm. And but we had a stacked platoon in those days. Really, all of my platoons were super stacked, man. I mean, my last platoon that we went to Afghanistan with, probably the most senior sniper platoon that's ever been in existence. We had like 13 sergeants.
Well, how did you? So you joined the Marine Corps when?
I joined in 04.
In 04? And then what did you join as?
Infantry machine gunner.
Okay, so machine gunner, and then when did you go to
my first deployment? So after my first deployment, or during my first deployment to Iraq, that's when I knew what snipers were, but you never really seen them as a boot Marine.
Yeah.
You're just focused on doing whatever the hell you're told. And I seen these guys sneaking in and out of the patrol base at night on missions, going out for 2 or 3 days, and then like you see them again.
Different gear, different stuff. Yeah,
different gear.
Yeah.
They got, they look like grown men.
Yeah.
When they're the same age as you, but they look like grown men.
Right.
And you're like, oh, look at these dudes. Like,
yeah.
And then so you hey, so how do I get in a sniper platoon? Just try out, man. We got to try out as soon as we get back. Done. So as soon as we got back from that deployment.
What year was that?
06.
Oh, we were there. Where were you at in Iraq?
Hit.
Okay.
Hit. Abu Hayat, Dulab, like that.
We were in Fallujah.
Al-Qaim, like that whole.
Al-Karma. We were in Fallujah.
Yeah, I think we're north of all that.
Yeah.
Up the Euphrates. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a hot area. I mean, we took tons of casualties. We had tons of IEDs.
That was a rough year, man. I'm not gonna lie. It was a rough year for me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how rough that year was gonna be until I got out, because we just endured it and then you just keep moving on.
Same with me, man.
And then when I got out, I was like, everything from Iraq, that time frame was like just hit me in the head.
It all catches up with you when you slow down.
Yeah.
And then
we'll get into that later. But.
Yeah. But yeah, so then I went, I got back from battalion, got back from deployment, and we had post-deployment leave scheduled. And they're like, hey, if you guys want to take the stay indoc, the sniper platoon indoc, you're going to have to cut your post-deployment leave. Like,
for people that don't understand, what does stay stand for?
Stay is surveillance and target acquisition. And that's what they used to be called stay platoon.
Right.
And some of us still kind of refer to it as stay platoon, but that's also called your scout sniper platoon. Yeah. So anyway, they were like, you got to miss like 10 days of your post-deployment leave if you guys want to.
I remember that. Stay
for this indoc, because they were so limited on time.
That's what happened to my indoc for Recon. It was a leave block. I think it was actually over Christmas, and they're like, hey, you can take off. Everybody's gonna be on 96, but Force Recon's running indoc. You want to do it? I'm like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Same with us, man. Yeah. They're like, this is your only opportunity, because as soon as this is over and you guys get back, you're grinding for your next deployment. The op tempo was so fast.
Yeah.
So
it was crazy back then.
Yeah.
Like you were just turning and burning.
6 months gone, 6 months gone, 6 months gone. And I mean, you didn't have time to process what you just did.
Yep.
So they tried out. There was 20 something of us tried out from the battalion. 7 of us finished without quitting, and they kept 6 of us for the platoon. And then we were officially members of the Scout Sniper platoon. And then out of that indoc, there was 2 ARS drops that both got dropped like last weekend of school for discipline stuff. My boy Mike Salvo, one of my best friends, same thing, just some dumb thing that got him caught up.
I mean, it's rough, dude. I think I started with 76 people, and 14 people got the MOS of 0321.
Yeah,
it was.
ARS was no joke.
There's a culling that happens up there. Yeah.
I heard BRC is now like online or something, like online training. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I don't doubt it. I just saw the graduating class. They had a good sized graduating class this past time.
Yeah, no.
I hope and I believe that those men are the men that are coming after us are just as high as caliber.
They are, and that's a lot of the opinion of our generation now. When you talk about active duty, like, oh, they're not made the same. This new generation is weak. And
well, the new generation is weak. Let's call it what it is.
Let me tell you and interject on this. I have been around this new generation of snipers and Marines because I've been going to graduations. Yeah. I've been going to talking to guys at hog calls and hog nights. And dude, the Marines are the same.
They're the Marines.
Marines are the same.
They're just younger than we are right now.
They're just fucking younger than us. Yeah. They're same hard charging.
Want to just get after it.
Just want to go and do their job. Motivated. And it really made me happy going to meet some of the guys at Quantico.
All the young kids that were graduating BRC, they were in a platoon and they were doing the Recon Creed. I was playing it for Mario. And I was just listening to the whole thing. I was like, God damn, that got me hard.
Yeah.
That shit brought back some memories, man.
Dude, Marines ain't changed. I don't think Marines have changed since the beginning of time.
Right.
And, and it probably won't. Leadership changes.
Especially at those levels. When you give them the opportunity to be greater, to be above average, those guys, they're the same.
Right.
Same caliber individuals.
Yep. It's the same guys. So I was happy to see that, and and when I went to meet those guys, I wasn't nervous, but I was like, man, what do I even say to them? I'm going to connect with them. I don't fucking
Yeah, they're kids.
These dudes, first off, they're kids, but even the gunnies and staff sergeants and the dudes that are like running the platoons and running the schools, these guys, most of them never deployed.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
And it's not their fault.
No, of course not. But it's just the time has collapsed.
Mm-hmm. And and it's just you
didn't realize like how when it stops, and then people get out.
Like I step back in that realm, and it's just like
We've become the old breed.
I tell stories and dudes are just
Somehow.
like staring at me like, oh, like what? You know, like.
So getting back to stories.
Yeah.
So 2006, you were over there. That was your first one?
Yep.
And then what?
Went to State Platoon, went to sniper school, struggled.
I was going to say, how's sniper school for you?
It was a
Kick in the dick, huh?
yeah. Physically it kind of sucks, but everybody's in shape,
Yeah.
so it's not that big a deal. I would say it's about like recon. You know,
Okay.
you're in shape, so physically
Yeah.
you just go.
It's just the pounding.
It's
Yeah.
just the.
You just got to endure the pounding.
But at sniper school, what's different is all of the practical application pass or fail scores.
Stocks. That's
There's
what.
so many things that are graded,
Yeah.
right? And of course, stalking. The first one that gets people, that's going to get people, is the first phase is the land nav, because it's a lot of movement, long distance.
Hold on. First of all, let me talk about the Scout Sniper fucking land nav bullshit ass course where they do in fucking North Carolina, in the goddamn jungle of North Carolina, which is I have patrolled in the most heinous places in the world, all over Asia, which is just rough. Nothing compares to the shit down the road in Verona Loop and Stone Bay and the shit that I've got into. That was the most heinous shit. So this fucking, and maybe it's changed. I don't know. I doubt it. But you're in the middle of just catch me, fuck me vines and just swamp and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, and I don't want to give away anything from selection, but when we do selection or you did, you know, land, you know, orienteering, land navigation, whatever you want to call it, you're looking for something like a thing,
Yeah.
you know, a building,
Box
a
of
truck,
ammo.
you know, something. No, like a thing.
I got you, like a landmark.
Like a real thing, right? A ridge line, a camp. What is a Scout Sniper Platoon land nav course? It's an engineer stake with a very, very tiny ammo box with a dog tag on it.
Yeah.
With your code or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Now this thing is probably about 4 foot tall, and it's camouflaged as well. So you have to be dead on. I have found boxes on the Scout Sniper land nav course literally covered in vines.
Yeah.
Like if you were not dead on, you would never have found it because that bitch was completely overgrown. I had to rip vines off this fucking ammo can, this 50 cal ammo can to get the code off of it.
And in the middle of the swamp.
I was gonna say, and then there's one out in the fucking river.
Yeah.
That if the you have to go out in the river and
see what
hope
tide
what
is.
the tide is to actually get it.
Yeah.
That's a bull. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a bullshit ass land nav course.
It's brutal, man.
It is brutal.
It's brutal,
Yeah.
and it's so many boxes and so little a time that you got to cover so much ground. Like
And you can't run through that shit.
No, but you have to be from the time you get in, you set your attack point.
Yep.
For when you think you're close, and you go and you try to find it. From that point, if you find a box, you're sprinting.
Yeah.
Until you get to your next attack point.
Yeah.
Because if not, you ain't gonna make it.
You won't make the time.
So anyway, that's the first thing that drops guys, and then the main thing that drops guys is, of course, stalking, right?
Yeah.
And I've always been the proponent or under the idea that I don't think stalking should be a graded event like that. I think it should be
A skill that you acquire.
it should be a pass or fail. Like, did this guy grasp the concepts of stalking?
And that was
Yes
the
or no?
problem because so
Yeah.
my frustration at the time, I was a team leader and then a platoon sergeant, and I needed snipers because we were going to Iraq. And when we had precision marksmanship guys, you know, like myself, my radio operator was a freaking murderer on the gun. Like, he was just such a nerd. He read the entire manual for the Schmidt and Bender scope, and then he read the entire manual for the Mark 11, and just understood the science behind it.
Yeah.
And
There's nerds like that.
yeah, like dude, he was Brian Ernst is out there. He runs an organic herb farm up in like Wisconsin. That's his thing now. Nice. And he looks like the most suburban dad you'll ever see. But it's like when you find out that he murdered like 18 people You're like, I never would have thought he was such a nice guy. He comes out of his house. Good morning, Bill. You know,
Yeah.
you know, nice white dude in khakis and a polo. No, he's a serial killer. So, but no, I needed snipers, and guys were getting dropped at stalking, and I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck about stalking. I need guys to be able to shoot behind the gun.
Right.
You know what I mean? And kill somebody in combat. That was the requirement. I need somebody to get on the 40 and be able to execute the mission. Period. And we weren't stalking at the time, so that's what I needed. That
Which
was
is
my
how the
frustration.
Army does it. It's pass or fail. Did they grasp this skill? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And I think that's how it should have been with the Marine Corps a long time ago. But
Might have been one of the reasons why, another
just a
factor.
lot of things, man. Yeah. A lot of things went into it, but it is what it is. But that's not getting off subject, but that's what makes my mission even more important now with the Scout Sniper Association, is to keep those guys connected.
Yeah.
Now that the program's gone.
Yeah.
Is to make sure that anybody that's out there that was ever a Scout Sniper or in a platoon in any form, make sure they're members of the Scout Sniper Association, and make sure that we can contact them, and we've got that Rolodex.
The Radio Association kind of kept them all together.
Yeah, everybody can stay connected, man, for
Yeah.
networking and for brotherhood and for just, everything. Yeah. So that's because once this program, it's gone away in December. It went away in December. You've got about a year to where you're still going to be riding that train, the high or the trend, and then it's going to go away. And then once that goes away, those guys are off to the winds, and you're not finding them.
Yes.
So
if you're a Scout Sniper, get connected with this guy. Period.
That's right.
Make it happen.
That's right. Scoutsniper.org. Hit us up.
Yeah, connected. All right. So, what was it? So stalking? They get dropped to stalking. What else? Or is that pretty much it?
That's pretty much it. I mean, once you make it through stalking, you just cruise. You basically cruise through. I mean, but that gets the majority of everybody that fails is stalking. And for me, so you have to have a overall 80% score.
Right.
You get 6 graded stalks.
You get that now, Mario? 80 pays the bills.
You
I
have
still
to
use that today in business. I'm like, hey,
yeah, I heard you talking about it on a podcast earlier about
hey,
just get to 80% and push.
80% and let it roll, man. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what gets the guys. And for me, I had to be at 80%, and it was on my last stalk. So you get 6 stalks, and then you get 1 remedial if you didn't have the 80.
I remember that. Yep.
But to get the remedial, to rate the remedial, I had to have 100. Because no matter what, even if you got the 80%, you have to have at least 100 out of those 6. So I pushed it all the way down to the last one. To rate a remedial, I had to get 100. Mm-hmm. And then on my remedial, I had to get 100 to get 80%. So we were going out like the last day of stalking, and it was like I felt like dead man walking, walking the Green Mile with my shit, I'm walking. Everybody's like, I passed through everybody, and they're like, "Good luck, JT. It was nice knowing you." You ain't making this, motherfucker. There ain't no way. And I'm like, it was good knowing you guys. And then you come back to the veg site, or where everybody's after they finish stalking, and you see guys' head drop that didn't make it, and guys laying back sleeping on their packs that didn't make it, and guys that are happy they made it.
Yeah.
And I come walking out, and the dudes are like looking at me to give them a sign, and I'm like, start shaking my head, and they're like, "Oh, it's JT." I'm like, 100, and they're like, "Oh, he made it." And then they're like, "You still gotta make 100 tomorrow." And came out tomorrow, another 100.
What was the difference mentally? Like what made that change?
Just like anything, I think once something clicks, it clicks, and once it just took me to that 6th stalk.
You just had to put the pressure on
to click.
Yeah.
And once it clicked, man, I got it. And I think from that point, probably 1 out of 3 stalks, if I did them, I'd have got 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because you
needed the experience.
Everything started coming around.
Yeah.
But it takes you those, the last few courses, or the last, after 2007, 2008, they changed the course up, and they got a lot more stalks in. They got like 10 or 12 stalks that were graded. But for us, it was only 6 stalks, so guys were dropping like flies. But I think they realized you need more stalks to to learn that skill.
To be able to get the scores that you need.
Yeah. So
need more time on the ground.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, passed, came back to the platoon, and I was team leader right off the bat. And then we deployed. We deployed again, and
we're at this time.
Same area.
Okay.
Hit Dulab, Al-Qaim area.
What year was this?
2007. Yeah, 2007. So
things started changing around then.
It was changing.
Yeah.
It was dying down.
Yeah.
But there was still activity.
But and what's dangerous about that is, and that's when my boy Fursky got killed. It was like a dead deployment.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dead deployment, and then and that's what's dangerous about that time, because you let your guard down because it's not happening all the time. You get comfortable, and they didn't do much of anything, to be honest. And not nothing against them. It's just the time. And bro, they did it. They were doing a patrol, and they stepped into a hornet's nest. It was like something with like, I think it was like 20 something dudes in there with PKMs and all kinds of shit, and it just fucking unleashed until they ended up first he was the one man, he got killed, and good dude, and I think they ended up pulling it out, and Rob Blanton, he ended up getting I think he got a silver star for it or something, bronze star, but they ended up killing everybody, and then they dropped the house, and there were still guys coming out of the rubble after they dropped the house, and they were killing them. It was just gnarly hornet's nest. But that's kind of the danger of that kind of time, is because
getting complacent
because you think
there's a lot of, so with me also, a lot of snipers go their whole
blocking the camera. There we go.
A lot of snipers may go their whole career and never get those opportunities to get a kill, right? Or really utilize their skill. And a lot of it's just being at the right place at the right time. Most of it, actually. Yeah. And I was very fortunate, because on most of my deployments, I happened to be in the right place, right time. And
so, speaking of stories, what is, I don't know what to say. What's the hardest deployment, or we can say the best mission you've ever been on?
Yeah, one of my Iraq deployments, we got a lot of action. And I happened to...
The 2006 one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was my first one as a sniper team leader. Mm-hmm. And we were operating in 5-man teams. I had an odd
man team. We had a 6-man team, and one guy got...
Yeah, so we had an odd number. So I had a 5-man team, but it was a stacked team.
Yeah.
And we had just had a team ambushed on the river, and one of my buddies, Brian Sloan, got shot in the hip twice. A guy just popped over a hill. They were kind of down in the ridge, in the riverbank in the reeds, hit in, and some kids had spotted them earlier that day. And it was just a matter of time. They were trying to wait till dusk to bounce out and not move in the middle of the day. But guys came up over the ridge and just sprayed down the hill, hit him twice in the hip. Our corpsman, Nathan Pimentel, he immediately went into action, patched him up, dug in, cut the bullets out.
Shit.
And everything right there on the scene. And then casevac'd him out. But I was at the main fob when that happened, and we were like in our hooch, and our platoon sergeant came running in, and he's like, "Get your shit! We got to get you guys out there. We're not having this. We need to kill those guys." So, what it was,
that is definitely the way it was back then.
Yeah,
it was like, no, fuck around and find out.
Yeah, get your shit.
Yeah,
pack your shit. Here's frags. Here. What do you need? And we're like, oh fuck yeah! So. And that was like the first contact that we had gotten that deployment. Mm-hmm. So once again, everybody was kind of relaxed. There had been some IEDs and stuff, but nothing crazy at that point. And then, so what was happening was there was a AAV unit that was turned into provisional infantry.
Okay.
Because back then it didn't matter who you were infantry. You were just, if you got deployed there, you were just going to take an AO and patrol, presence patrols. And they were taking contact a lot from across the river from their AO, and it was just harassing them. all the time, and they had no snipers, they had no long range capability, and there was a suspected cache across the river, and they couldn't get over there or do anything about it. So all these guys were connected with this cell that had attacked our guys. So the CO from the AAV unit reached out to our command and was like, hey, can we get a sniper team out here, please, from you guys to try to help us eliminate this threat and shut this area down for a while? I said, yep. So they sent my team out. I linked up with the CO there, and we worked up a mission. I basically told him, like, hey, if you want max effectiveness from us, I suggest you keep all your patrols and activity, your presence out of this area for like 3 days. Let us set in place. Let us observe. Let us get a feel of the area. Let us, observe and report on what was going on with the activity, and pretty much gauge the baseline of what it was like daily. And then as soon as we see something out of the baseline, we know what's going on, and we can probably start figuring out where these guys are at. Mm-hmm. If you guys keep the presence out of here, they'll get comfortable and they'll slip up,
right? And
we'll catch them. And he was like, done. So he kept all patrols out of this area, this village. So we took 2 teams, put one team on the river and one team up on a ridgeline, and I was up on the ridgeline. The team on the river was observing and reporting on activity across the river. We were kind of overwatching everything as like mutual support. And like the last day of the mission, 3rd day, it was about to be dusk. We were getting ready to pack up and get ready for extract that night. And all of a sudden, my buddy calls me on the radio that's down on the river. He's like, JT, I got a guy moving out of the palm groves. He's got weapons in his arm wrapped up in a schmuck. I was like, fuck. So I crawled out of my hole, went up to the ridge line where I had my gun set up, and sighted in on him. And he was like, yeah, you see him? He's walking down the riverbank. I was like, yep, I see him. And we lased him. It was 926 yards.
Shit.
And I was like, oh, fuck. I ain't hitting this motherfucker. Ain't no way. Not at 926. Because, first off, you know how it is when you're in Iraq. You got your rifle T-boned on your ruck. Mm-hmm. You're hiking up and down wadis. Uh-huh. Half the time you're throwing your fucking ruck down the wadi because you're pissed off. Mm-hmm. Or you're letting it down with a rope. It's supposed to be. But it's like, and in and out of 7 tons and Humvees, and your shit's just getting bumped around, and I hadn't zeroed it in a month, hadn't shot it in a month. I'm like, I ain't hitting this motherfucker. Ain't no way, but I'm going to try. So I get sighted in.
And you were shooting the 40?
Yeah, I was shooting the M40, M40A3 at the time. And
what scope were you guys using back then?
Schmidt and Bender.
Same.
SSDS,
okay.
Yep. And my buddy on the river's like, all right, hey, I'm going to track him. Let's keep trailing him until he gets out of distance. If he gets out of distance, then there's nothing we can do. Mm-hmm. But let's hope he stops and does something. So we're on him. My spotter crawls up beside me, Mike Salvo. He's now a cop up in Pennsylvania. He just became a SWAT sniper, actually. So we laugh about this all the time because we didn't think I was going to hit him. And he's like, yeah, JT, I got him. He talks like Rocky Balboa. He's like, yo, JT. He's Italian as Italian could be. Yo, I got him, 926, fire, And I'm like, and then right when he says that, the guy stops and meets up with another dude. Uh-huh. And we're like, oh, this is it.
Oh, he's just stationary.
Hands the weapons to the guy. Uh-huh. Takes them out of the schmuck. We see 2 AKs, clear as day. Uh-huh. And as soon as those presented, we had positive ID, positive intent, hostile intent, hostile act, hostile intent, whatever. And my buddy on the river's like, on the tier 2, fire. I got the guy on the left. You guys got on the right. He's like 5, 4, 3. We shot. Boom, they both dropped.
Shot the fuck.
Mike's like, you fucking hit him. I'm like, oh shit. Hit him right in the right ass cheek. And the guy that my buddy hit though, Gibson, he hit him dead square in the middle of the back. Done. He was only like 400 yards away. Mm-hmm. So he was done. The guy I hit though, I hit him like in the right ass cheek. So at least I knew I was on him. So he went down, played dead for a minute, and then started crawling. So I re-engaged, hit him again in the shoulder. He laid down, played dead. I was staying on him. I was like, you fucking move, motherfucker. He stood up again. I hit him again. And he was done. But a bunch of the civilians came out of the there was like some compound, some houses back behind the palm groves. And this is kind of open field beside the palm groves. And just people started coming out of these houses, like trying to get the guys. Because the one guy was still alive and he was like yelling at them, you know. And what they want to do is grab the weapons and get all the shit out of there so there was no evidence, right? So my machine gunner was with me. He's like, JT, can I spray that crowd and just keep them out of the area? I was like, I tell you what, you spray the open field to the left of them.
Yeah.
Not them.
Yeah.
And just let them know that we're still here. So
yeah.
he sprayed in the desert, in the field out there.
They'll take off running like cockroaches.
So then they scattered, and then a couple minutes went by, and the guy was still crawling a little bit, but I was done re-engaging because at this time, the team down the river was taking small arms fire from across the river from, I guess, his lookouts and his buddies. They realized they got shot. They didn't know where they were at. They knew the general direction, but they didn't know where they were at. So they were taking like small arms fire in the treetops and stuff. But they were about to start bounding back to us, to the ridgeline, where we could cover them. So, and finally, the villagers came out with like a big white bed sheet, waving a big white, like, don't shoot us. We mean, you know, peaceful. And by that time, we had to bounce. So we rolled out, but the next day, our interpreter told us that they just basically drove the guy up to the hospital and dumped him out in the entrance, and
that was it.
He died. But you know, it's nothing to glorify killing anybody. You know, it's part of it. You know, I'm not happy that I killed anybody in combat. You know, because those guys, just like I've said before numerous times, those guys don't know they're bad guys. You know, to them, they're doing what they're called to do, or what they're forced to do, or what seems right to them. And then we're doing the same on our end. So it's, you know, I always look at it both ways, and in a way have compassion, but then again, I'm there to do a job, and my job is to protect any harm coming from any Marines from these guys. So you can feel content, or I always feel content knowing that I always used my good moral compass and ethics.
Iraq was
any kill.
Yeah, Iraq was an interesting one. Once I got to Afghanistan, though, and maybe you feel the same, I felt more like there was definitely evil and good in Iraq as well, but it was much more muddy. You know what I mean? Afghanistan for me was very clear. It was very clear the way they treated human beings and the way they treated people. I was like, oh, this is an evil versus good situation. Like these are the people that are causing harm in Afghanistan are truly evil to the world.
Totally different enemy.
Yeah. I mean, Iraq, there were some bad actors in Iraq. Don't get me wrong, like some really bad actors. But it was just not as clear in that era who was the truly evil person, or who was, like you said, it was just somebody that was getting paid to do a job or doing a thing, and because they wanted to feed their family.
Yeah, and you know, and the guy that I hit, he was a young guy.
Yeah,
you know, he's probably a teenager. To be honest,
doing what he told. Take these weapons, go deliver them to here. Yeah,
I mean, you know, casualty of war. But I mean,
same thing with like IEDs. Like these guys are getting told, hey,
kids,
go put these IEDs in there.
Once we got to Afghanistan, that's exactly what was happening.
Yeah, they
would just tell the kids, hey, here's $20, go put this IED on the street. Okay. And the same thing happened in America, you know. Right. But, you know, it is what it is. And I always made sure that I was able to, no matter what, even though I might have been a goofball and I goofed around a lot and I was like the party guy and fun guy in the Marine Corps, you know, JT Money was my nickname. I ensured, and all my teams, I ensured that we made the moral and ethical correct decision on every engagement we ever made. I never one time engaged anybody that I didn't have positive ID, hostile act, hostile intent towards Marines or other people.
How much? What were you guys back then? What was the command scrutiny on your shots?
Be honest, there wasn't much.
Really?
I mean, we kind of
Was there more in 07 and 08?
Not really. I mean, not really. I think past 07, yeah.
Okay.
But 06 and 07, it was still kind of you're the on-scene commander. You're the
Make the
sniper.
call.
You make the call.
Yeah.
We'll back you up.
Yeah.
But they also didn't have the court system in place yet. So a lot of guys from my first deployment were getting called in to sit through, Zoom call.
We had to fly guys to Baghdad.
Court sessions for stuff that they did back in 05,
Yeah.
04, 06. And like in 07, 08, they finally started getting their court system put in place. And those cases would start coming up, those backlog of cases. And basically you just sit there and you're Charlie, you sit there in your uniform and I did not do it, or yes, I did, or I had, I made the right decision and okay, but they knock it off their list.
Yeah.
But they were looking to get people big time. But we made it. We dodged all that.
Good.
And then
we sent guys. We had to send guys on helicopters to Baghdad to be at the actual court when it was happening.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It was nuts, man.
Yeah, that's nuts. Well, unfortunately, I can say for myself that I was making the right decision, but I know there were a lot of people that weren't, and that's what led to that. I think that's any war and any. It is what it is. But like I said, there's no glory in killing anybody.
And that's what people don't realize. It's very easy to go, oh yeah, we got to go kill the enemy and do all these different things, and you should do this, and we should take up arms and all that. Like, unless you've actually lived that life, dude, you don't know what that toll is. Yeah. And you don't know. Yeah, I get killing the enemy, but when your best friend next to you gets smoked, that shit don't leave you. You know what I'm saying? So it's all fine and dandy to throw out there and say we should do X, Y, and Z, but unless you've actually lived that life and and carry the weight of it, you really shouldn't talk. You should have a more open perspective. There should be at any point another option than putting young men in harm's way.
It's just like getting in a street fight with some guys and you talk a lot of shit and start a fight and then your buddy gets knocked out.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's the same. It's like
maybe
we shouldn't have engaged in that.
Yeah.
But like you said, Afghanistan, we transitioned to Afghanistan, total different theater, total different mindset. It was just, you knew who the enemy was. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you knew they were there to kill you.
I mean, they're not even that. They had no regard for human life. Their own kids, their own people. They had just zero regard for human life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, rough.
Yeah. And then in Afghanistan, the same thing. We had some good engagements and good things that happened. We lost some guys, but one of my longest ever engagements, people. I get hate from people now for telling these stories. Like, why are you out there bragging and telling? Well, you know what? These stories need to be told because
Absolutely.
The sniper program is going away. If we don't tell them, they're lost.
I've never we got brainwashed with that shit. Just be a quiet professional and be what? What was that doing for me?
Yeah.
What was being quiet? You know what quiet does? Get you overlooked. Your job. I'm gonna tell you, if you have a job, I'm gonna tell you, be quiet, be a humble professional, let your work speak for itself, and see if that actually gets you a raise. You have to go get your shit. If you want something, you got to go do it. And the thing is, these guys, this is their resume, this is their experience, this is their life. These are the decisions that they made. This is why they can go get a job making X amount of money, because they've been at that level of stress, having to make life and death decisions.
Yeah. And I'm hoping by me doing this, it encourages other people to start being more vocal.
That's why I tell
share these things because it's so important.
People I don't want to get shit for writing a book. Write a fucking book, dude.
So who cares?
Make it internal. Otherwise, these stories will be lost. When you die, they'll be done. If you write a book that's creating eternal value for somebody else, somebody's going to read that down the road and be like, might change their life, gain some perception, something.
Yeah. So in Afghanistan, we had this big operation, and my team was with the main effort, and we basically were sent out as forward reconnaissance to set into a hide site in this compound that was going to be used for the battalion command center for this operation.
Right.
we were in Marja. So we went out 3 or 4 days ahead of time. We set up in this compound, and we're just kind of watching the city, watching the daily patterns of people, and if we noticed anything odd. So that way, the day of the operation, we would be there to see how the pattern of life changed, and to start seeing the bad guys start showing up on motorcycles, which is what would always happen. They start coming in from further east on motorcycles, the backside of the city, come in, start setting up in their positions, right? And we were set in, so we were watching all that happen. And the whole mission was the Afghani police and Afghani army were pushing from north to south through this AO, through this village, and doing marijuana and poppy eradication. So burning out all the fields. And as they were pushing south, basically online, they were burning out these fields. Our battalion was to the west, and we were going to start at a certain phase line, start pushing east. So it was kind of sandwiching them in a little bit. And then we had another battalion to the south that was pushing, coming north. So we're kind of boxing them in. And the reason is because there's a lot of enemy activity out in that area because we didn't have a presence out in that area. So we just keep pushing them east. And so we got set in. The operation kicked off. The compound that we were in, the battalion commander, company commander, the Arrow, all those guys were down there in the compound. We could talk to them from the roof, basically, tell them what we were seeing, because you could hear gunfire going on, and basically it was the Afghan police getting engaged by guys that we couldn't see at the time. And but eventually, my spotter, he was also my point man, Cody Nixon. He was on the gun at the time, and he was observing, and I was kind of manning the radio because I was kind of helping run the op. And he was like, "Yo, JT, I got these guys. They just 5 of them, all black, just gathered behind this wall, and I can see it." I was like, "All right, what's the distance?" So we got the map. He couldn't laze it. It was too far. So we got the map. We started cross-referencing. All right, what is it? It's about 2,500 yards. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck. Like, all right, well, just keep eyes on it and report on it. So he starts reporting on it, and all of a sudden he's like, RPG. He's like, the dude just got up on the berm and launched an RPG. He's like, can I fire? I was like, yeah, fucking fire. So we basically yelled down, hey, we're engaging. We got eyes on guys. Everybody that's down here for the dog and pony show, please put your gear on. There's like reporters, and put your gear on because we're about to engage enemy and be ready for fire to come our way. We're in a combat zone in case you guys didn't realize,
Yeah, right.
And he engages. He's 300 yards short. And you can see the dust. So short that they don't even know he's shooting at. They don't know he's been shot at yet. He's like, I can't hit him, JT. He's like, I'm maxed out on the scope. He's like, he wasn't a sniper. He was, he's a pig.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let me get on the gun. I was like, rule of thumb, if you can see him, you can hit him with a sasser. You just got to know how to hold.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, walk me on where they're at. And he told me, he's like, all right, I see the wall. He's like, they're right behind that wall. I was like, okay, keep eyes on the wall. I'm about to fire, see where it's at. I fired. Boom, hit the wall. And their assholes just puckered, dude. They're like, what the fuck was that? I know they were. And they're like, what was that? Because they had no clue we were even there. Yeah. We're almost 2,500 yards away.
That's nuts.
So I hit that wall, dude, dead on. Boom! And I was holding on a cloud.
That was loud as shit.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, dude.
It was like a half busted down little wall, just enough to hide their 5 bodies, right?
Yeah.
And surprised it didn't go through it.
Dude, I'll give Iraq and Afghan some cred, man.
Oh yeah,
they built some damn walls, bro.
Yeah,
that shit is impenetrable.
Yeah, and it lasts for 1,000 years.
Thousands of years, yeah.
But yeah, so I hit that fucking wall, man. And when I hit it, it just their assholes just puckered, dude. Because you could see the we shoot the Roffish rounds. It's got the tungsten penetrator with the zirconium particles, which is almost like a incendiary.
Yeah.
Right? So big flash, and you just seen it flash on that wall. Boom! And I was like, "Oh fuck, you hit it!" And I was like, "All right, I'm on them, dude. As soon as they move out of that wall, I'm dropping a full mag.
Yeah.
And gonna waste them." And so meanwhile, I'm holding on a cloud. I've got my scope maxed out elevation, and I'm holding on a cloud. Literally, I can't see the guys at all. And I've got my point. I've got an ambush point ready in between the wall and the compound, like right in the middle. So when the first guy leaves, I can drop a whole mag, and by the time they get to the middle, it's gonna just start popping them. And it took about 3 or 4 minutes for the first guy to kind of peek out, and I let him go. He walked across. And then
so that was a strategic move on your behalf. You're like, it's safe.
Right. Yep.
Just baiting them out.
Come on, guys, it's safe. Nobody's watching. And then here come the other 4 dudes, and they come walking out, and I just dropped a whole mag, 10 rounds, do, and then all you seen was just flashes on their body, just, and because they were walking against a wall. The wall was their backdrop.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it was like playing dodgeball with the sasser.
Yeah.
You know, like, and all you seen was just boom, 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 flashes all over, dude, and just mayhem. And so they all got out of there. I couldn't see what happened after that. There's so much dust and stuff. But we did start taking small arms fire immediately, a couple minutes later, towards our compound. And actually, one of my guys got hit in the helmet.
Was you all right?
Yeah, it was a straight round. And so at this time, I'm telling everybody down in the little courtyard, I'm up on the roof. I'm like, hey, literally just killed 5 guys, so be prepared. Please put your gear on. You know, we're in an active combat zone.
Again, still.
These guys have never left they never met the main 5. They just came out to be part of this big operation. Mm-hmm. And we've got another team at this time that showed up, and they're on another roof. And they're seeing all this go down too. And they start trying to engage the guys that are trying to locate and engage the guys that are taking the pop shots at us. So they start engaging those guys on another roof, and they're about the same distance, like 2,300 yards away.
More like 2 inches.
And
just move the whole trigger. Like, there we
go. so yeah. Anyway, about this time, the main objective starts to step off from our compound, the patrol, and they're going to go over there and do a BDA, battle damage assessment, to see who we killed and what we killed and if they can find anything. And as they step off, there's a big berm right in front of the compound. A&A guy, our Afghan army guy, goes to lay on the berm. Boom! Blows him up. Lays right on IED. And you just see his body come flying up over the wall. His Kevlar goes this way. His whole torso goes this way. And then lands. And then I'm like screaming at the sergeant major down there. You know, this is a fucking active combat zone. Somebody just died. Please get these guys gear on, you know.
They still hadn't put their shit on.
No, there's like FET team, and there's like reporters, and there's like this female down there. She's like, she can see me on the roof. She's like, yeah, so I'm here. I'm in Afghanistan. We're in an operation. Snipers are up there killing people. It's pretty awesome. And like, oh my god, this is no joke. This is a real story.
What the fuck?
And anyway, so a minute or two later, the company gunny who was going to lead this patrol, same thing, went to step on the berm about 50 meters down. Boom! Blew his foot up. Good guy. Gunny Alade.
He lived?
Yeah, he lived. Had some damage. He still lives with the damage. He wears like a full leg brace and foot brace to really do anything.
He didn't lose his foot?
Didn't lose it. It was so deep. It was buried so deep that a lot of the blast was kind of diminished by the...
Yeah, damn lucky rabbit's foot up his ass.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky. And so, yeah. And at that point, they took it serious. And the squad that went out to do the BDA, like, called himself on the radio, because I'm like, hey, what do you see? What do you see? I keep asking them, what do you see? What do you see? And they're like, oh, dude, it's a mess over here. It was like, there's just blood and clothes, bloody rags, bloody towels, blankets, chunks of meat, like stuff everywhere, but no bodies, you know, which is what always happens.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the most successful, and that was 24-26 meters. That shot.
That's nuts.
24-26, and at the time, and still to this day, it's definitely top 10 longest engagements, probably ever.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's probably like top 3 to 5. But we didn't talk about that stuff back then.
No, you were too busy.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's my 2 awesome sniper stories.
When did you end up getting out?
I got out in 2013.
Why?
Just like we had talked about earlier, a lot of stuff just started catching up with me. My body was broken down. My mind.
When you at 2013, what were you doing? What was your job?
I had got put on recruiting orders I got flagged. It was on recruiting orders.
Gross.
Yeah, it was miserable. And then that's when everything hit me, man. Because I was completely out of my element.
Oh, and then your speed was different.
Everything.
Yeah.
And I was married at the time, and it was very toxic. We were completely broke, living off the food pantry in the county. I had no money. I didn't know at the time, but my wife was addicted to drugs. My ex-wife.
Fun.
And she had been managing all of our finances. So we had zero money. Literally was going to the county food bank.
So you're one of those Marine statistics.
Yep. and nothing against my ex-wife, nothing against her now. We made amends, but I don't regret anything I've done, any decisions I've made.
Yeah.
Because without those decisions and the path that I've taken, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, which I could not imagine being in a better
And how old are you?
I just turned 41.
41. It's interesting, right? Because you see, when you're in your 20s, you see things differently. But when you get in your 40s, you're like, no, I wouldn't change a thing. I needed all that. I needed all that hardship, all the bad stuff, all the experience. I needed all of it.
There's some things that I wish I might have tried and pursued.
Yeah.
But even if I did, I don't want to change anything because who knows?
It would change everything.
You just can't change your past. I wouldn't do it for anything because my wife now and my 2 kids, man.
How old are your kids?
My one daughter's about to be 5, and my other one's 2.
Oh, those are great ages, man.
Dude, they
great
are
ages.
My freaking life, dude. Yeah. I could not imagine having a better wife or better kids or better position in life or, man, just blessed.
So when you got out, it was really just because the operational toll, essentially, just
that and just a lot of things,
the wife situation,
the marriage situation, the financial situation, PTSD that was catching up with me that I didn't know existed.
I didn't believe in it.
Well, and a big thing too for me.
I was one of those assholes that were like, "You got PTSD? You're just not cut out for this job."
I was like, "People like us don't get PTSD."
Yeah,
I wanted to do this. I wanted to kill people.
That's what I said.
I wanted to be in combat. Therefore, it doesn't affect me like that. But as soon as you slow down, it does, man.
It catches up with you.
But one of the biggest things that I was talking about earlier, one of my Marines, I hate to say my Marine, but a good friend of mine that got out killed himself on the phone with me because he was going through the same type of issues, alcohol.
We talked about that on John Stevens' podcast.
Marriage.
I thought it was going to happen to John Stevens. I was on the phone with him. I ended up having to call the cops on him. What episode was that, Mario?
I have to look it up.
Yeah, so he in a Sunday afternoon, me and my ex were sitting on the couch. Phone call comes from his phone. I answer it. He's like slurring his words. I'm like, all right, I know this is, he's drunk. This is going to be a couple phone calls back to back, and he'll finally go to sleep or whatever. Next one came, I screened it. Next one came, I screened it. Next one came, and it was his wife. JT, is this JT? I'm like, yeah. She's like, will you please talk to Matt? He's losing it. He's got a gun. He's like, I've never seen him like this before. He's really drunk. And she's like, I don't know what to do. There's nothing. I think you're the only person that can talk to him. So I get on the phone with him. He's talking to me. He's coherent. And I'm like, hey, go outside, get away from her, because they were fighting too. Go sit on the curb outside of your apartment, talk to me, relax. He's like, it's just too late, man. There's nothing I can talk about. It's too late. Like, my life's too late. I've ruined it. Don't want to be here anymore. And I'm like, nah, don't say that, And then phone hangs up, and then calls back a couple minutes later, and it's his wife again. And I hear him screaming and stuff, and boom, you hear freaking 30-06 go off live on speakerphone. And then you hear her screaming. And then that's just like, but I compartmentalized all that because then I had to go home. I had to go to work the next day.
Were you still in?
Yeah.
Shit.
Had to go to work the next day. Investigator calls me. Detective calls me. I had to fill out a formal statement, go get it notarized, fax it to him. And then, basically I thought about it for about a week, wondering, what could I have done? Felt really remorseful. What could I have done? What could I have said? Is there anything I could have done? And then I just compartmentalized it, put it in the back of my head, moved on. And then once all these stressors in my life started coming out and presenting themselves, that's when everything just hit me at once, dude. And I had like a nervous breakdown almost. And I was like, I got to get out of here. And then they immediately, no questions, didn't even pull me from recruiting, no repercussions, pulled me straight from recruiting, sent me to Wounded Warrior Battalion. I'm like, hey, here you go, man. Take care of yourself.
Fix your head.
Take care of yourself. Fix yourself. If you decide to stay in, great. If it's your time, it's your time. And I just got out. Got a divorce, and basically started my life all over again with not knowing what I was going to do with my life. And moved out to Wyoming for about a year. Took like a walkabout and worked on a ranch and just kind of cleared my mind. And
How was that?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome, but it only took a few months to realize that this is great, but I'm clear now. I need to get busy.
I need to do something.
I need
another mission.
Need another mission. So that's when I joined this Warriors to Workforce acquisition internship program through the VA. And that was all wounded vets. It was like a cohort of 20-something of us, Army, Marines, Navy. And it was in Frederick, Maryland. It's a three-year internship program, paid internship program.
Nice.
It brings you into the VA as a GS-5. You get your college degree through it. You get all your professional development classes, all the certifications you need to be an acquisitions or contract specialist in the government. Mm-hmm. And then you get job placement. And you go 5, 7, 9, get hired, finish the program, get picked up as a GS-11. And then, now I just hit GS-13 and still doing it, man.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, but it was just it was a mission, something to get me through that transition.
Yeah. Did you ever happen to read my book?
I did not, but I want to read your book.
Yeah, I mean, if that would have been even when you were recruiting, dude, that probably would have. I mean, it wasn't written then.
Yeah,
but that would have been a really good time to read it, because what the problem we found after, because I worked with veterans for 9 years, Josh and I, and the problem that I found was that they think their problems are isolated to themselves. It's just them. And the reality is, it's a human being condition. Like, all human beings go through that. We all suffer trauma in some way if you live life enough.
Yeah.
Right. And I think one of the biggest things is realizing that you're not an island to yourself. That these feelings and thoughts that you have are not yours and yours alone. They are shared amongst your peers, but just nobody talks about them. And then articulating why you feel the way you do. But anyways.
Yeah. And another thing is trauma is trauma.
It is.
No matter how your
brain doesn't differentiate the difference.
Doesn't differentiate. And your trauma is no less invaluable or serious than my trauma,
right,
than his trauma, than her trauma.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of people, kind of like when you hear the term imposter syndrome, mm-hmm. Like, who am I to complain about?
Every day I have it.
What I've done. Yeah. Or who am I? I feel it right now. Who am I to be the president of the Scout Sniper Association? And what gives me the right to speak on behalf of Marine Scout Snipers? And, what gives me that authority? Well, somebody's got to do it.
If not you,
why not? If not me, who? And that's what I'm doing now, and just trying to continue that legacy, keep the community connected in any way I can. It's a fickle community. It's even the Scout Sniper Association itself. It's had ups and downs through its existence.
What's the overall intent? What's your intent?
My intent is to grow the membership to where I know I will never have every Marine Scout Sniper as a member or every platoon member, but I want to get the message out to all Scout Snipers, all platoon, stay platoon members, pigs, whatever, that you're welcome and you have a home with us to join and have a network of people that will help support you. And, our main mission is to provide support services to Scout Snipers and their families. Mm-hmm. So we have guys reach out, through our website. We've got a support request link. You can click it, and you can submit a support request for anybody that's a sniper or a family member, whatever. And we get those coming in all the time, and they're just a different myriad of things. It can be from they need financial assistance, falling on hard times, or, came down with cancer and the wife can't work because they're helping take care of them and need help with childcare, or whatever, need a new porch because an old Marine sniper vet's porch fell in and he doesn't have money to pay for it, and we'll get some guys that are Scout Sniper owned businesses as a contractor and go help them build it, or anything, man. Help guys get put in rehab, help guys get put in, or just provide a mentor to a guy that is just struggling. Hey, I got to do this in the area, man. He lives in Spokane, Washington. Scout Sniper. He's got his shit together. He's going to come meet up with you at a coffee shop. You guys link up and talk about your issues.
Guys, if you're listening to this, I want to just interject real quick. Like, if you're listening to this, and it does break my heart that these guys, you got Scout Snipers, and in my opinion, some of the higher caliber in Marines in the Marine Corps, right? At all decades, right? If your life is not the way that it needs to be, you change your choices and you change your outcomes. Like, so if things are not the way you want them to be, if you don't have the money that you want, you don't have the life that you want, you feel like you got robbed, et cetera, whatever it is, look at your choices that you're making, because the choices that you make create your outcomes. Like, nobody's a victim here. Nobody did anything to anybody. You know what I mean? Have we all been screwed over at some point or taken the big green weenie? Sure. Did life kick us in the nuts? Yes, that's what it does. But we still have choices that we can make, and our choices equal our outcomes. So just audit your life. Audit your life and audit the choices that you make, so that you can have if you want a better outcome, make better choices. And the reality is, you said it, the network, man. Like, there, great book, Who Not How, by I think his name's Dr. Hardy and Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan's his name, but I don't think the other guy's name's Dr. Hardy. And your network is your net worth. Like, you would be surprised when you get linked up in a network like that with fellow guys, what you can achieve with every aspect of your life, your relationship, you as a father, you as your money, job opportunities, etc., reasons for advancement, because you just need to find the who. And what better who to find than your own fucking people?
Yeah. Just like I've heard you say before too, we're tribal.
Yeah.
We're tribal people, and we identify with those that are like us.
Yeah. No man needs to be an island to himself. Mm. That's not the reality. So when you got out, was it a rough transition? How long were you kind of in that, I don't know, mental dark place?
Probably 2 years.
2 years? That sounds about right for me. But I was actively working on it.
I would say
once I had my bout with ending my own life, there was at that point it was like, okay, I've got to fix my shit.
I would say 2 years. And jumping back on the horse quickly with that program helped.
Yeah, because you weren't stagnant.
Right.
So many vets just go home, sit on the couch, and then just eat themselves to death.
And dropping and eliminating stressors.
Yeah.
Not drinking, getting a divorce.
If need be.
And also changing my environment completely. Mm-hmm. I didn't go back home and get right back into the same old shit, which most guys do,
right,
which is their downfall. I went to Wyoming, which I'd never been. Bumfuck Wyoming.
Beautiful state.
Beautiful.
That state is trying to kill human beings, though. The weather, the animals,
it's
everything.
Rough.
Everything's trying to kill you.
It's rough, but
you got to be tough if you live in Wyoming or Montana.
Out there while I was there, and then, then went from there to D.C., which
the different jungle.
Way different.
Different,
And,
different threat.
The program I was in, the Warriors Workforce program, you have to wear a suit every day, shirt and tie every day. And you show up and you got your own cubicle, and they're basically training you for the corporate world. They're training you for government business. They're giving you the professional development skills you need. You're getting the interpersonal communication classes. You're getting all these classes to develop yourself professionally that we as Marines don't get.
Yeah.
And you realize that once you start taking all the intangibles that you learned and that you gathered from the Marine Corps, it's very easily transitionable into any workplace environment.
It is. We don't realize it though.
Any
Initially.
career field, you can pull from your intangibles and the things that you learn and put them to.
And I tell people this: just your operational planning process
SHMIAC.
alone. That's it.
Just a SHMIAC.
Yeah. Like that. If you take that and apply it to business or apply it to your personal life, you will be exponentially more successful because it helps you. Most people just don't have a plan, and that creates a plan for accomplishing any objective. Use it.
Yeah.
It took me years to realize to take what I learned in special operations and apply it in business. Now I did. I'm exponentially more successful.
Yeah, and the Fortune 500 companies are paying guys with your experience and our experience
an arm and a leg
to come teach the basic things that we learn, leadership, basic leadership,
planning,
planning, mission planning.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is get on a whiteboard and write SHMIAC. And Here you go, guys. And they're like, oh my God, it's awesome. You just changed my life.
But we think that it's like just nothing. It's just common knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Scout Sniper Association, man, that's what my passion is right now.
How did you land in that?
I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep it up. As the president, it's not a paid position. So
how did you land it in the first place? What happened?
Well, honestly, just like we've talked before, when I got out, I kind of dropped my pack with anything that had to do with sniper related, Marine related, tactical, hoorah, savage.
You just wanted out.
Done.
Yeah.
And disconnected from the community. I still had a lot of friends I keep in contact with, but I was completely out of that zone. And then a year ago, Tim Parkhurst, who was the former president of the Sniper Association.
He was our chief rigger at 3rd Recon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he said he knew you too. Yeah. Really good dude.
He is a good dude.
Hard worker, man. Such a hard worker. And he kept the association alive for the last 6 years as the president. But he wasn't as connected to the OIF, OEF guys.
Yeah, he was already senior when that kicked off. Yeah, right.
So me coming on the board kind of brought new blood and kind of revitalized
brought your generation into it.
Brought us into the fold more.
Yeah.
But Tim kept it alive for the last 6 years, and then he just basically randomly called me one day because he was going through like a member list backlog, and he's like, "Hey, I see you got a membership application in. We never filled it out." Started talking, and he was like, I've got openings on the board of directors. Would you be willing to put in a nomination for yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I was like, "Man, I don't know about this," but I did it anyway. And then when he sent out an email for all the guys that nominated themselves, I think it was like 6 or 7 guys nominated themselves to be on the board. He sent out an email to all the membership and said, "Hey, if you know anything good or bad, negative or positive about any of these guys on this list, please let me know so that I can properly vet these guys before they come on the board." And he said, I talked to him, and he said, "Everybody on the list, I got complete crickets. Nobody responded." He said, "But I got about 5 emails from people vouching for you, saying that you would be a great addition to the board." And I was like, so that made me start thinking, well, then there's people out there that I had an impact on some way.
That are already in the association.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to do it. Yeah. So, I jumped on the board. I came on the board as just a regular board member, and then, started bringing my friends into the fold, contacting guys, getting them more active. Mm-hmm. And then within like a couple of months, probably 2 months, the guy that was the current vice president called me up and was like, "Hey, I'm looking at stepping down. I think you'd be a perfect VP." So they're like, "All right." So then I became the VP. Mm-hmm. And then Tim's time was up at the end of the year. And he was like, I would really like for you to just take over as president, so I feel comfortable with the association pushing forward. And I was like, well, I will if you'll stick around and help for a little while.
Yeah.
And so I did.
I just drop your ruck and be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Good luck, JT.
So I did. And I became the president in January. And trying to push it as hard as I can, man. And we had the last graduation of snipers at Camp Lejeune in December. Didn't know Cody Alford at all, but I reached out to him on social media and invited him to come be the guest speaker. He was more than thrilled to do it, and then now we became friends.
Awesome. He's a good dude.
Really good guy, and so then, and I've seen him at a couple other events now. It's like we're all connected now in this circle, and so yeah, just meeting great people, making good connections, and just try to put the Scout Sniper Association in a good light with everyone and bring in as much recognition and fundraising and partnerships as I can. We just, another initiative that we have is we just got authorization. We're going to build the first ever fallen sniper memorial at Quantico at the museum. And we
don't have any.
There's no Scout Sniper memorials.
No shit.
None. Recon's got memorials, but we don't have any. So we had who's it? Ben Cantwell, the kind of famous military artist. He drew our concept design of what the memorial is going to look like, which is going to be basically a modern era Scout Sniper in a seated position with a tripod, and a World War II era sniper with full air wardrobe attire, and he's got his rifle slung, and he's kind of got his hand on the shoulder of the modern day Marine, and he's like pointing forward into the future as a spotter kind of. Got that all designed, and then we brought on one of the best, basically modern day Da Vinci. His name is Sabin Howard, and he is one of the only and most world-renowned bronze sculptor, lifelike sculptor. And he's currently just finished up the World War I memorial in D.C. right by the White House. Huge. And he's agreed to come on and do ours, which is going to be freaking sick. But it's like a $2 million project.
Fun.
So we're trying to fundraise for that.
Yeah.
But Sabin and his team, when he agreed to take it on, he also agreed to help us fundraise. So he's probably going to find somebody to bankroll it, more than likely, but we don't know. We still got to pay a couple $100,000 just for the site.
Yeah.
So we're trying to fundraise for that right now. And for that, we started a whole new entity of the Scout Sniper Association, and it's called the Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation. And that's a whole new side gig, basically. And Tim Parkhurst is now running that. So he took that over as the CEO.
What's the purpose of that?
Purpose of it is to see that memorial through the finish line.
Okay.
Manage that, see that through the finish line.
Manage the history of...
And to do all the historical research to find out, our legacy all the way back from the beginning. Who was a Scout Sniper? Who served as a Scout Sniper? Who died as a Scout Sniper? Where are they buried?
Making sure these stories and these lives are continuing on.
Continuing the legacy.
Yeah.
Compiling the history and that kind of stuff. So that's what the Heritage Foundation, Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation, is doing. That's their mission. And our board of directors, our officers, still oversee that association, or that foundation. But Tim Parker is the CEO, and he's basically taking that and running with it. And then, yeah, we've got a board of directors of 14 guys from all over, all walks of life, snipers, pigs.
How many snipers do you think there are out there? Do you have any idea?
At any one time, probably in the height of OIF, there was probably never more than 350 active duty.
Active duty.
So if you do the math, I don't know, I would say, a few thousand.
And not everybody's in the association.
No, I think we've got, under 2,000 in the association. There's probably at least another 5,000 out there that are roaming around that we're trying to reach.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is we have very little presence on the West Coast, just because everybody's on our board is on the East Coast. And we got very little presence on the West Coast, which I just have reached out to some guys and trying to get them to hold a big hog call or sniper gathering on the West Coast this year to bring those guys more in the fold, because we got a lot of snipers out there.
Well, if you're on the West Coast and you're listening to this, we got a lot of West Coast listeners.
Oh, cool.
And watchers. So if you're on the West Coast and you know Scout Sniper, tell them.
Scoutsniper.org.
Yeah.
Hit us up. But so that's what we're trying to do. We got a couple of big events this year. We do this. This will be our 5th annual gathering of snipers. We're doing it at YO Ranch in outside of San Antonio, Texas. That's August 23rd to the 25th, and that is a Army versus Marine. We call it the grudge match. Okay. So we'll have 5 Army teams, 5 Marine teams, and that's going to be a huge event this year for us. Dark Corner Concepts is designing the courses of fire and managing the match for us, and they run the Real World Sniper Challenge, which is the premier sniper challenge in the U.S. or probably the world. And they're designing all the stages of fire for us. They're going to man it for us. It's going to be pretty badass.
How do you get into that?
Well, the planning is still ongoing.
So you can be a veteran though. You don't have to be.
Yeah. So ideally, I'd love to have an active duty guy matched up with a veteran.
Yeah.
Right. That'd be ideal. But it just depends on who Rogers up and wants to do it. But it's coming to a point to where if we make this big enough, if we get MARSOC involved, we get Recon involved, the Army gets their special forces involved and stuff, this can be a huge event. A lot of potential, because there is no really inter-service competition, right? You've got the SOCOM sniper comp, you've got the international sniper comp, but there's nothing that just puts Army versus Marines.
And we love that, don't we?
Yeah, it's fun. And then, I had an idea of let's promote it. Let's do some shit talking.
Right.
Light shit talking, like fun talking, through social media.
That's like one of those things where if I see civilians talking shit about the Army, I'm like, whoa, bro, hey, listen.
Yeah.
That's my role.
Right.
I can talk shit about them.
Yeah.
You keep your mouth shut.
You can't deny the Army is freaking awesome.
Right.
They've got they're awesome. If you want to stay longevity as an operator, Army's the way to do it.
Oh, they've got
dude.
They're kicking our ass in that.
They're the best.
Yeah.
MARSOC is doing great at coming up.
They're trying.
In the ranks. They're trying their best, and they're doing great.
They don't have that retention.
They still got a long way to go.
They don't have that retention spot.
The Army's just got so much built into it.
Yeah.
But like I'm saying, if we can get some of our Raider teams, sniper teams, recon teams,
that'd be fun.
Start bringing out some of the best that we have to bring to the table versus their best, we can make this huge.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
Cool.
But this year, we're going to see how it goes. I've already got a lot of interest, and I hate to get to the point to where we got to start limiting who we choose and how, because I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But if we get enough interest, we're going to have to figure out a way to, have a freaking raffle or a
qualifications
drawing.
Yeah.
Hey, put your name in and
a lottery.
We'll do a lottery or something.
That's basically what the big races or big competitions do. It's a lottery.
Yeah. But we've got, there's still Scout Sniper activity at Quantico. They're still got the shooting team. We got 2 guys that are shooting PRS now down there. They got 9 competitions this year. Logan Stroud and Nick Bazone. We support them. I just support them with a bunch of ammo components so they can load their own ammo for the year, and try to get them sponsors and help them out as much as I can. And then, and we just had our Marine team compete in the International Sniper Comp. There were some guys from EOTG out West Coast, the urban and aerial course. Recon Sniper Foundation supported them to come out and sponsor them to be in it. Recon Sniper Foundation also is a great organization that does great things for sniper community and recon community. And my goal is to try to partner with them more and more to bring everybody together and use our resources as a combined effort. But they have the presence on the West Coast, and we don't.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to get everybody more connected. And yeah, man, I don't talk forever.
So tell me this before we wrap up. If you're getting out, what's a couple things? What's 2 or 3 things that you can tell people that your JT's advice based off of your experience, what should we be doing to be successful?
If you're transitioning out,
yeah,
take advantage of whatever transition process that the military has to offer to you. Take the classes serious. Be an active participant. Don't just go through the motions to get your checkbox.
Yeah.
Because as lame as it may sound, these programs that the military have put together for transition have been proven to help and assist. And they provide you with a lot of different takeaways and a lot of different ways to get ahead of the game. Get your medical and your VA claims done, checked out, and seen before you get out. Before you get out. Get all that stuff done. Go to your corpsman. List every ache, injury you've ever had. Get it in your medical record. Get your corpsman to sign off on it so that they can verify that it happened. Get everything that you can imagine that has happened to you through your career listed in your medical record, and go through the VA process before you get out. So that way, when you get out, you've only got a 30, 45, 50-day time frame before that VA pay starts hitting.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Just one less level of stress you got to worry about.
One less level of stress.
Yeah.
And then also start building your network now. Network. Build a network while you're in and keep contact with those guys. You know, for some reason, naturally, I'm just good at networking. I don't know how I just like to talk and I like to make friends. So I reach out to guys in my network every couple of weeks, even if I don't have anything to say.
Just so you maintain.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Just checking on you, bro. How you doing?
Yeah.
Just to keep that network and that relationship going, because that's huge. Because guess what? When something pops up in their realm and something that may make them remember you, they can reach out to you. Hey, some guy just hit me up. He needs a security detail out in Fresno, California. You still live in Fresno, right? You want a security job? Boom, here you go. Call this guy directly. Tell him I told you to call.
I tell people all the time, your network is your net worth, man.
Dude, like I just had the vice president of executive protection for Allied Security, which is top 3 security companies in the world.
Yeah.
They got 1 million employees. Talked to him for an hour on the phone about how can we get Allied connected with Scout Snipers so when they transition to get them right into security, right into a job with us, a full career with us. You know, all the jobs are paying $40, $45 an hour starting out.
Yeah.
As doing security. I mean, and then that's not even to mention if you get on their executive protection teams and you're traveling. You know, I mean, there's just so many opportunities out there, and networking is the way to get to them.
That's right. Networking.
Because if you want to reach the guys that matter in these companies you're trying to reach, they're not reachable through social media. You're going to reach somebody that's involved, but you're not going to reach the guy.
Yeah.
Like I can't go to your website and find Nick's phone number.
No.
And say, if I can just talk to Nick one time, I know he'll like me. You know, you can't do that. And it's the same with a lot of the guys. And you notice that when you go to like places like SHOT Show and things like this, where networking events, it's never the guy that you really need that you're going to meet.
Yeah.
Right. You only find that through networking.
Yeah.
And you got to network your ass off.
Yeah. But don't be an island to yourself. Go make friends.
Make friends.
Go develop that top 40 list and then invest in that top 40.
Just like the old saying, I've heard you say it, I've heard numerous people say it. You're an average of the 5 people you spend your most time around. You're the average of the 5 people that you're connected with the most. If you're around 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th. If you're around, you know, if you're around 5 guys that like to talk and network, you'll be the 6th.
Yep.
You know, I mean, that's just how it is, man. You got to put yourself out there. That's why I'm doing this now. You know, I never thought about telling my story or getting myself out there. until last year.
Yeah.
And now I'm just running with it. I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know what
It's going to take you somewhere.
I don't know what my plan is, but I know that if I keep pushing this and I keep being out there and put myself out there, something's going to present itself. An opportunity will present itself.
Well, the reality is, like, how are you going to grow the association? How are you going to connect these guys unless you do what you're doing?
Exactly
Have
right.
to.
This has never been done. Nobody's ever really promoted the SSA.
Yeah.
It's always just it exists. It's around. You can reach out to them, but I want to make sure that I'm capitalizing on the trend that we have right now with the program going away.
Because the reality is, all you have to do is, because of you going on podcasts, you're promoting the association. There might be that one man, like your friend, that you're able to get connected, and he doesn't suffer the same fate.
Right.
And if you work for 5 years to make that happen, it's worth it. One guy.
Yeah, you know, my wife gives me, you know, she's supportive of me in everything I do. Mm-hmm. But, you know, to her right now, it's starting to weigh on her because I'm putting a lot of my spare time into this association.
It's hard. Nonprofits are hard.
But
and people don't really understand the work that it goes in.
Right. And I tell myself I'm doing it for a reason. You know, it's going to pay off. There's a reason I'm doing this. There's a reason I'm doing it. And every time I get a message from somebody on Instagram or something like, hey man, love the way the program's, you know, what you're doing with Scout Sniper Association. Keep it up, man. You know, this and this. I want to help. How can I be involved? Just had a guy reach out the other day. Hey, how can I be involved on the West Coast? So I got him linked up and trying to plan a hog call for us, you know, a party. And it's just every time you get that recognition from somebody that says they notice you're doing good, just put the foot on the gas and keep going.
Yep.
And put yourself around people that are a little bit ahead of you in their path, right? So
it's like the whole saying, like, you never want to be the smartest guy in the room. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right. Always put yourself. I'll try to put myself around people that make me a little uncomfortable.
Perfect.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm a little uncomfortable around these people because they've kind of got it figured out a few more steps ahead than I do. But that pushes me to.
But that shows you where you're lacking.
Right.
And I'm not saying lacking as in wants or desires in life, but just like where you could grow just a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're growing a little bit more every single day, well, then you're on the right track. Yeah.
Right.
Well, guys, if you're a sniper, go check out the Sniper Association. And then where can people find you if they want to get in contact with you?
So first off, I just like to say this is the membership criteria to become a member of the Scout Sniper Association. There's 3 things. It's pretty simple. Number 1, you graduated from Marine Sniper School. 2, you served in a billet in a Marine Sniper platoon for at least a year. 3, you went to combat with a Marine Sniper platoon for any time. That's the criteria. You don't have to be a school-trained sniper. You just have to have been connected to a sniper platoon for at least a year or done a combat deployment. Either
Live
one.
that life.
Either one of those.
Yeah.
Please go to our website, click membership, apply for your membership. Our membership coordinator will get to you pretty quickly. We're going to start sending out membership certificates. We got membership cards we're going to start sending out. Mm-hmm. And then you get connected. So you get connected to the network. We have a site that's only for members. It's called the Hog's Den, and it's on our website, scoutsniper.org. You get access to that when you become a member. And on that site is, you know, just discounts to different gear and companies, different blogs and stories. You got, you know, your 1-6 sniper platoon chat, your 3-6 sniper platoon chat, you know, all these different things.
That's awesome, dude.
So we got to get guys utilizing that stuff more. And I got it. That's why I'm pushing it. You know, a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to be a school trained sniper to be a member. You don't. You just have to have been in a platoon. Because let's face it, there's not a lot of guys didn't graduate, but still served.
And how else can people find you?
They can find me, CEO at scoutsniper.org, is my email. And any of our social media sites that are Scout Sniper Association related, I monitor most of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy day.
Easy.
All right, guys, you know the deal. Never quit, never surrender. We always keep moving forward and keep on growth. Your network Your network is your net worth. So go out there and network. Thanks, JT. Appreciate you.
Bro.
Peace, guys.